Brad Evans here from Yahoo Sports, and you're watching the Fantasy Sports Network.
This is Dr. Roto, Mark Bloom here at the FSTA conference in Las Vegas. I'm with Brad Evans from Yahoo Sports. We're just talking about what's going on in the industry. How did you start, Brad?
Interesting story. So I've been in the business now a decade. I used to be a teacher. I was screwing up impressionable young minds, believe it or not.
Good, yeah.
So back in Illinois, and Matt Berry, who, obviously an industry titan and a guy that really got a start for a lot of people in terms of getting in the business. I was writing on the side for him for a while, and he had a site called TalentedMrRoto.com. Blew up. I was still teaching, and did extraordinarily well. Next thing I know, I got an interview with Yahoo, and here I am, like 10 years later.
That's a great story.
Somebody's actually paying me to talk about fantasy sports.
But isn't fantasy teaching? Aren't you teaching people what to do with their teams? Isn't it a way, do you consider yourself a fantasy teacher?
An educator in a way. I'm screwing up a lot of rosters in the process as well, but yeah, I guess that's a good way of looking at it. Especially with a lot of young people getting in, or with a female demographic that's really growing. There are people that are thirsty for knowledge. They're thirsty for information, and to really just kind of absorb it, get into the business, whether it's contributing in their own fantasy league or even working in the fantasy industry as well. So yeah, in a way, I try to mentor and help those people out all the time.
Now, working for Yahoo has to be interesting because you've got, the experts, and then you've got the people who are just the first-time players.
Yeah.
Who do you guys try to appeal to when you do your writing?
A little mixed bag of everything, to be honest. I try to cater to the hardcore player at all times. I think it's really, it's easier in football than it is in, say, like baseball. Because in baseball leagues, you have such a variety of, NL only, AL only, head-to-head, standard roto, whatever. So you got to cater to everybody there. And the hardcore guys, they want to know who was the fifth starting pitcher on the San Diego Padres in NL League. Oh, is that guy going to be a like a $5 pitcher, or is he going to be a $10 guy? But in in a standard 10-team league that we offer a mixed league, they could give two craps about that player. So it's more difficult in baseball, but I always try to cater to kind of the hardcore player, but particularly especially for football.
But the answer to that question is Tyson Ross, $5. That's all I'm saying. Tyson Ross, $5.
Interesting sleeper, Tyson Ross.
I like him. I'm
I
telling
do.
you. I know.
Hey, you got to like the environment.
So where has the industry, when you got to the industry and now, how has it changed over the years?
Oh, it's just grown massively. It's insane. I've been talking to some of the colleagues around here. Whether the economy's down, it could be a recession. Heck, I think we could be in a full-on depression, and people are still going to play fantasy. Now, they may not be investing as much cash into it in those circumstances, but it's a form of escape. And you've seen it grow almost exponentially over that 10-year span. I mean, this event's been around. It's a great event for many, many years, but every year I see new clients, and they're successful in their new endeavors. And now you're seeing like conglomerations coming together with the the Fantasy Sports Network as well. Is very exciting. So it's a wonderful, exciting time in the industry based on how things are trending, especially in the media, because it's everywhere now.
Let's talk about the Fantasy Sports Network.
Yeah.
What do you think it can do to the industry? I think it's a revelation. This was like a no-brainer to happen because of what we can do. Do you feel the same way? Do you think Yahoo and the other sites will embrace this TV network?
Absolutely, because the potential is so huge. The upside is incredible. You've got 30 to 35 million fantasy players, and the industry is growing at like a 12 to 15% pace every single year, and we've seen that sustainable growth. So you have new people coming in, constantly wanting information. You're not only going to cater to the hardcore player, but the first-time player, the player that's got some veteran experience as well. So yeah, again, it's all about potential, and the potential is just huge for the Fantasy Sports Network.
Where do you see, if we're going to have this conversation 5 years from now? I'm looking forward to it, by the way.
Yeah.
Where do you think this industry is going to be in 5 years?
Well, I think it's, you're going to see more innovative products, whether it's with mobile devices. I think daily gaming is really going to continue to explode, as we've seen here in recent years. And I think media attention for fantasy as well, whether it's on this network or the mainstream networks as well, whether it's at ESPN or our partnership with NBC, I think you're just going to see more and more fantasy on those shows. Now, my hope is that mainstream sporting events, like the broadcasts, start catering to
You'll
fantasy.
see fantasy
more.
bylines on the bottom.
Well, more than just that. I mean, we see the stat scrolls that are coming up, but the people, commentating on the game, actually commentating from a fantasy perspective as well. And I think that it's probably the next evolutionary step in how media addresses it.
As opposed to Al Michaels in the last minute of the Monday Night Football game mentioning that was beneficial to some people out there.
Exactly.
Right.
And actually address it, because the only people that are still watching a 30-point blowout are the people that have skin on their fantasy leagues. So.
Absolutely. So, tell me one thing that you've done in the industry that you're most proud of.
Well, honestly, I've won several awards, not to toot my own horn or anything, but just continuing to contribute a consistent product, and again, getting back to mentoring a lot of young riders. I'm paying it forward how Matt paid it forward to me, Matt Berry. So he got me in the business, and like, for example, my wonderful colleague Kay Adams, who's a good friend of mine, she's now fully engrossed and ingrained within the community, and I've kind of helped her along. And for me, seeing her achieve and have a lot of success, that's a good moment for me. It comes back.
It's a good teacher.
It comes back to education,
Exactly.
right? Always.
This is Dr. Roto Mark Bloom here at the FSTA conference in Las Vegas with Brad Evans from Yahoo Sports.